The first time I saw my sister flinch at her own fiancé's touch, I knew something was wrong. But nobody else seemed to notice, or maybe they just didn't want to. My name is Sierra, and I've always been the family skeptic. At 34, I've learned to trust my gut, especially after my own marriage imploded 3 years ago. So when my 24-year-old sister Tessa announced her engagement to Sean Freeman after dating him for only 6 months, every alarm bell in my head started ringing. "Isn't he just perfect?" Mum gushed, clutching her pearls as she watched Sean help Tessa into his pristine BMW. "A successful business consultant, goes to church every Sunday, comes from such a good family." I watched from the kitchen window as Sean's hand lingered on Tessa's lower back. She went rigid. Just for a second, but I saw it. "He seems intense," I said carefully. Mum shot me a look that could freeze hell. "Sierra, don't start. Your sister finally found a good man. Don't ruin this for her because you're bitter about your own failed marriage." That stung, but I bit my tongue. Mum had this way of weaponizing my divorce whenever I questioned anything, like being abandoned by my cheating ex-husband somehow disqualified me from having opinions about relationships. The engagement party was 2 weeks later at our church. I arrived fashionably late, hoping to avoid the pre-party small talk, but walked straight into a wall of forced cheer. Tessa stood beside Sean in a flowing maxi dress despite the July heat, her smile bright but somehow hollow. "Sierra!" She rushed over and hugged me, but even through the fabric I could feel how thin she'd gotten. "I'm so glad you're here. Wouldn't miss it." I studied her face, dark circles under carefully applied concealer. "You look tired, honey. Wedding planning keeping you up?" "Oh, you know how it is." She laughed, but it sounded brittle. "Sean likes everything perfect. We've been working on the guest list until midnight most nights." Sean appeared beside us like he'd materialized from thin air. "Sierra, great to see you." His smile was magazine perfect, but his eyes were cold. "Tessa was just telling me how excited you are about the wedding." "Thrilled," I said flatly. His grip on Tessa's shoulder tightened slightly. She winced. "Well, we should mingle," he said. "Come on, babe." As they walked away, I noticed Tessa stumble slightly. Sean's hand shot out to steady her, but the gesture looked more controlling than caring. The party dragged on with the usual church crowd making the usual small talk. I found myself watching Sean work the room like a politician. He had this way of making everyone feel special, like they were the most important person in the world. Classic manipulation technique, but it was working. Even Pastor Vince was eating out of his palm. "He's wonderful with her," said Teresa, one of Mum's church friends. "So attentive, always has his hand on her, making sure she's okay." Yeah, I thought, that's exactly the problem. I cornered Tessa by the dessert table. "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" She glanced around nervously. "What about?" "About you. You seem different lately." "Different how?" Her voice pitched higher. "Jumpy, quiet. You're wearing long sleeves in 90-degree weather." Tessa's hands flew to her sleeves, tugging them down. "I just get cold in the air conditioning." "Tess! Sierra!" Sean appeared again, his timing impeccable. "Mind if I steal my fiancé back? There are some people I want her to meet." He didn't wait for an answer, just took Tessa's arm and guided her away, but not before I saw her mouth sorry over her shoulder. The next morning, Mum called me in a panic. "Sierra, I need your help. I'm hosting the bridal brunch planning committee this afternoon, and my speaker system is acting up. Can you bring your laptop and set up some music?" "Sure, but wouldn't Tessa's iPad work better? It has all her playlists." "Perfect. She left it here last night. You're so good with technology." An hour later, I was sitting in Mum's living room, surrounded by church ladies debating centerpiece colours, trying to connect Tessa's iPad to the Bluetooth speaker. The device kept asking for her passcode, so I tried the obvious ones: her birthday, Sean's birthday, their anniversary. Nothing worked. Then I remembered her old standby, our childhood dog's name plus her graduation year. Bingo. The iPad unlocked and I started looking for her music app. But something else caught my eye first. In her email drafts folder, there was an unsent message with a subject line that made my blood run cold. If anything happens to me? My hand started shaking as I stared at the screen. Around me, the church ladies kept chattering about flowers and favours, completely oblivious to the bomb I'd just discovered. I glanced toward the kitchen where Mum was making coffee, then back at the iPad. Every instinct screamed at me to open that email, but another part of me, the part that had learned to mind my own business the hard way, hesitated. But this was Tessa, my baby sister. I tapped the draft. The email opened, and my world tilted sideways. The message was addressed to no one, just a desperate stream of consciousness that started with, "I don't know who to tell," and got worse from there. But it wasn't the words that made me drop the iPad. It was the attachments, photos, dozens of them, bruises on Tessa's ribs, purple and yellow like rotten fruit, a split lip she covered with concealer, fingerprint marks on her upper arms. Each image was time-stamped, going back 4 months. "Sierra, how's that music coming along?" Mum called from the kitchen. "Almost got it," I managed, my voice cracking. I scrolled down with trembling fingers. There was a scanned bank statement showing an $80,000 transfer from Tessa's savings account to something called Freeman Consulting LLC. Below that, diary entries in Tessa's handwriting. March 15th. It happened again. He said I embarrassed him at dinner by ordering the wrong wine. Says I need to learn to think before I speak. April 3rd. He needs the money for a business opportunity. Says it's temporary. I want to believe him. April 20th. Wore makeup to cover the bruise on my jaw. Mum complimented how glowing I look lately. The living room felt like it was spinning. Around me, Teresa was debating the merits of peonies versus roses, while my sister was being systematically destroyed by the man everyone thought was perfect. I took screenshots with my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it steady. Then I closed the email and somehow managed to get music playing through the speakers. "There we go," I announced, forcing a smile. "All set." The meeting dragged on for another hour. I sat there nodding and smiling while inside I was screaming. When the last church lady finally left, I cornered Mum in the kitchen. "I need to borrow Tessa's iPad for a few days." "For the wedding slideshow?" "Of course, honey. You're so thoughtful to help with all this." I drove straight to Tessa's apartment, the iPad burning a hole in my passenger seat. She answered the door in yoga pants and an oversized hoodie, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Sierra, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk." I pushed past her into the apartment. "Where's Sean?" "At work. Why?" Her voice was wary. I set the iPad on her coffee table and opened the email draft. "Want to explain this?" The colour drained from her face. She sank onto the couch like her legs had given out. "You weren't supposed to see that." "Tessa, what the hell is going on? These photos—" "It's not what it looks like." The words came out in a rush. "Sean's under a lot of stress with the business. He doesn't mean to." "Doesn't mean to what? Beat you? Steal your money?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. "He didn't steal anything. I gave him that money." "It's an investment." "An investment in what? Making you disappear?" "Stop!" Tears started streaming down her face. "You don't understand. He loves me. He's just intense sometimes." I sat beside her, fighting every instinct to shake some sense into her. "Honey, love doesn't leave bruises. Love doesn't empty your bank account." "He said he'd pay me back after the wedding. His uncle is investing in the business and—" "Tessa, listen to yourself. You're making excuses for someone who's hurting you." She stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. "You wouldn't understand. You've never had someone fight for you the way Sean fights for us." Fight for you. Is that what he calls it when he hits you? He doesn't hit me. The denial came out sharp and desperate. Sometimes when I do something wrong, he gets frustrated. It's my fault for not listening better. My heart broke watching her defend him. Tessa, nothing you could do would justify this. Nothing. She turned to face me, and I saw the fear in her eyes. Raw, bone-deep terror. Even if that were true, it's too late now. The wedding's in 3 weeks. Everyone's coming. Mum's so happy. I can't just... You can. We'll figure it out together. No. She shook her head violently. You don't know what he's capable of. If I leave him now, he'll destroy me. He has photos, recordings of things I said when I was upset. He'll make sure everyone knows what a mess I am. Before I could respond, we heard a key in the lock. Tessa's face went white. He's not supposed to be home yet, she whispered. Sean walked in, all smiles, until he saw me. His expression shifted so quickly it was like watching a mask slip. Sierra, what a surprise. Tessa didn't mention you were coming by. Just sister stuff, I said, standing up. Wedding planning. His eyes flicked to the iPad on the coffee table, then back to me. How nice. Tessa's so lucky to have such a involved sister. The way he said involved made my skin crawl. Well, I should go. I grabbed the iPad. Tessa, think about what we discussed. Sean's hand found Tessa's shoulder, his fingers digging in just slightly. She didn't flinch this time, but I saw her jaw tighten. What did you discuss? He asked pleasantly. Flower arrangements, Tessa said quickly. Is Sierra's helping with the decorations? How thoughtful. His smile never wavered, but his eyes were ice cold. Drive safe, Sierra. These roads can be dangerous. As I walked to my car, I heard him close the door behind me. Through the thin walls, I caught fragments of conversation, his voice low and controlled, hers high and apologetic. I sat in my car for a long moment, staring at the iPad in my hands. Then I noticed something I'd missed before. Another folder buried deep in her files. It was labelled, For Willow, if I disappear. I stared at the folder name until my eyes burned. Willow Holland, Tessa's best friend from high school. They'd had some kind of falling out 2 years ago, something Mum had brushed off as girls being dramatic. But if Tessa was planning to leave evidence for Willow, maybe their friendship wasn't as dead as everyone thought. Finding Willow's number took some social media stalking, but I finally tracked her down working at a veterinary clinic across town. I called during my lunch break. Willow, this is Sierra, Tessa's sister. Long pause. Oh, hi, is everything okay? Can we meet? It's about Tessa. Another pause. I don't really talk to Tessa anymore. I know, but I think she needs you. We both do. She agreed to meet at a coffee shop after her shift. I got there early and claimed a corner table, the iPad hidden in my bag like contraband. Willow walked in 20 minutes later, still in scrubs, looking wary. Thanks for coming, I said as she sat down. What's this about, Sierra? Because if Tessa sent you to apologise for her, I'm not interested. She didn't send me. She doesn't even know I'm here. I leaned forward. When did you last see her? At the grocery store, maybe 6 months ago. She pretended not to see me. Willow's voice was bitter. Look, I get that she chose Sean over our friendship, but... What do you mean chose Sean? Willow blinked. She didn't tell you. Sean didn't want her hanging around with me. Said I was a bad influence, so she cut me off completely. My stomach dropped. When did this happen? Right after they started dating. She called me crying one night, said Sean thought our friendship was unhealthy because I encouraged her to be too independent. Willow made air quotes. Next thing I know, she's blocking my number. Did you ever see anything concerning about their relationship? Willow's expression shifted. Why are you asking? I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the screenshots. Tessa's bruised ribs. Willow gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Oh my God! When was this taken? 4 months ago. There are more." "I knew it," Willow's voice cracked. "I saw bruises on her arms once when we ran into each other at the store. She said she fell off her bike, but she hasn't ridden a bike since we were kids." "Why didn't you say anything?" "To who? Your mum? She made it clear I wasn't welcome in Tessa's life anymore. Said I was jealous of Sean and trying to cause problems." The pieces were clicking together. Sean had systematically isolated Tessa from anyone who might question his behaviour, and Mum had helped him do it. "There's something else," I said, pulling up the folder on the iPad. "She has files labelled for you, like she was planning to send you evidence." Willow's eyes filled with tears. "Show me." The folder contained more photos, but also audio recordings. Willow and I huddled over the iPad, listening to Sean's voice through the tinny speakers. "You're so stupid sometimes, Tessa. How do you expect me to take you seriously when you can't even balance a checkbook? Don't cry. You know I hate it when you cry. It's manipulative. Your sister thinks she's so smart, but look how her marriage turned out. You want to end up like her? Alone and bitter?" Willow was crying openly now. "This is my fault. I should have fought harder for her. This isn't your fault. It's his." I closed the iPad. "But I need your help. I'm going to stop this wedding." "How?" "I don't know yet. But first I need to know more about Sean. His business, his background, anything that might help." Willow wiped her eyes. "I can help with that. My cousin works at the courthouse. She might be able to pull records." We spent the next hour planning. Willow would dig into Sean's background while I tried to find more evidence of financial fraud. We exchanged numbers and agreed to meet again in 2 days. I was walking to my car when my phone rang. Mom. "Sierra, we need to talk. Come over, now." Her tone made my blood run cold. "What's wrong?" "Just come over." I found Mom pacing in her living room, her face flushed with anger. Sean sat on the couch, looking perfectly composed, except for the muscle ticking in his jaw. "Sit down," Mum ordered. "I'll stand." "Sean tells me you've been asking inappropriate questions about his business. And apparently you took Tessa's iPad without permission." I looked at Sean. "Tessa gave me permission." "Did she?" Sean's voice was silk over steel. "Because she seemed pretty upset when she realised it was missing. Thought someone had stolen it." "I borrowed it for the wedding slideshow." "Right," Sean stood up. "The thing is, Sierra, that iPad contains some very personal information, private conversations between Tessa and me. I'd hate for someone to misinterpret things taken out of context." The threat was clear. He knew I'd seen everything. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said. Mum stepped between us. "Sierra, I'm disappointed in you. Sean is going to be part of this family, and you're treating him like a criminal. Maybe because..." "Because what? Because you can't stand to see your sister happy?" Mum's voice rose. "You need to apologise to Sean right now, and you need to promise to stop this nonsense." I looked at Sean's smug face, then at my mother's expectant expression. "I'm not apologising for caring about my sister." "Then you're not welcome at the wedding," Mum said flatly. The words hit like a physical blow. "You're uninviting me. I'm giving you a choice. Apologise and act like a civilised adult, or stay away." Sean put his hand on Mum's shoulder. "Maeve, that's not necessary." "Sierra's just protective. I respect that." He looked at me. "Family is everything, right, Sierra? We should all want what's best for Tessa." "And what's best for Tessa is marrying you?" His smile never wavered. "I think Tessa can decide that for herself. She's a grown woman." I wanted to scream that grown women don't hide bruises and plan escape routes. Instead, I headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Mom called. "To find out what's really best for my sister." As I reached my car, Sean appeared beside me. I hadn't heard him follow. "You know, Sierra, divorce can be really hard on a person. Makes them paranoid, suspicious of everyone else's happiness." His voice was conversational, but his eyes were dead. I'd hate to see you embarrass yourself by making wild accusations you can't prove. Is that a threat? It's friendly advice. From someone who cares about family harmony. He walked back toward the house, whistling softly. I sat in my car, hands shaking, and called Willow. "Change of plans," I said when she answered. "We need to move faster." "What happened?" "Sean knows I'm onto him, and my mum just chose him over me." "Sierra, maybe we should—" "No, I'm not backing down. If they want a war, they'll get one." Willow called me the next morning, her voice tight with excitement and fear. "I found Sean's brother, Lucas. He works at Murphy's auto shop on 5th Street. "Sean has a brother?" "Had. They're estranged. My cousin said there was some kind of family blowout 3 years ago. Lucas moved here from Portland right after." I was already grabbing my keys. "I'm going there now." Murphy's auto shop smelled like motor oil and old coffee. I found Lucas under the hood of a pickup truck, his hands black with grease. He was bigger than Sean, broader through the shoulders, with the same dark hair but none of the polished charm. "Lucas?" He looked up, and I saw Sean's eyes in a completely different face. Where Sean's were calculating, Lucas's were tired. "Yeah?" "I'm Sierra. My sister is engaged to your brother." His expression hardened immediately. "Congratulations." "I need to talk to you about Sean." Lucas straightened up, wiping his hands on a rag. "Lady, I don't talk about my family." "Even if someone's in danger?" That stopped him. He studied my face for a long moment, then glanced around the shop. "Jimmy, I'm taking 15. He led me outside to a picnic table behind the building. "What kind of danger?" I showed him the photos on my phone, his jaw clenched tighter with each image. "Shit." He ran a hand through his hair. "How long has this been going on?" "At least 4 months that I can prove." "Maybe longer." "And your family knows?" "My mum thinks I'm jealous and making trouble. She chose Sean over me." Lucas laughed bitterly. "Yeah, that sounds familiar. Sean's always been good at making people choose sides." "What happened between you two?" He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "There was a girl in Portland. Emma. Sweet kid, worked at a coffee shop near Sean's office. He dated her for about a year." "What happened to her?" "She ended up in the hospital with a broken wrist and 3 cracked ribs. Said she fell down the stairs." Lucas's voice was flat. "But I saw the finger-shaped bruises on her throat." My stomach lurched. "Did you report it?" "Tried to. But Sean had an alibi. Dinner with our uncle, the one with all the money and political connections. Emma suddenly decided not to press charges. Got a nice settlement check and moved to Seattle. Your uncle paid her off." "Uncle Richard doesn't like family scandals. Bad for business." Lucas's voice dripped disgust. "Sean walked away clean, and I got cut off for betraying family loyalty." "So you moved here?" "Figured I'd never see him again. Then I heard through the grapevine he was engaged." Lucas looked at me. "Your sister seems nice. Quiet." "She wasn't always quiet." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Lucas said, "You planning to stop this wedding?" "I'm trying, but I need more than photos and stories. I need something that'll make people listen." "What about his business, Freeman Consulting?" "What about it?" "It's bullshit. Sean's never consulted on anything in his life. It's just a way to launder money from Uncle Richard's real estate deals." My pulse quickened. "Can you prove that?" "Maybe. I still have some contacts in Portland." He pulled out his phone. "Give me your number." "I'll see what I can dig up." That afternoon, I drove to Tessa's apartment again. This time I came prepared. I'd bought coffee and pastries from her favourite bakery, hoping to seem less threatening. She answered the door looking hollow-eyed and jumpy. "Sierra, what are you doing here?" "Brought you lunch. Can I come in?" She hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment was immaculate, like a showroom. No personal touches, no clutter. It didn't look like Tessa at all. "Sean likes things tidy," she said, noticing my expression. I set the pastries on the kitchen counter and noticed a pill bottle tucked behind the coffee maker. Anxiety medication, prescribed just last month. "How are you sleeping?" I asked casually. "Fine. Why?" "You look tired." "Wedding planning is stressful." She picked at a croissant without eating it. "Sean wants everything perfect." "What does Sean want that you don't want?" The question hung in the air. Tessa's hands started shaking. "I don't know what you mean." "The guest list, the venue, the dress. What would you choose if it was just up to you?" "It is up to me." But her voice was barely a whisper. I sat beside her on the couch. "Tess, I talked to Willow." She went rigid. "What did you tell her?" "The truth, that you're in trouble and need help." "I'm not in trouble." The denial was automatic, but tears started flowing. "I'm getting married in 2 weeks. I should be happy." "Should be." "But are you?" She broke down completely then, sobbing into her hands. "I can't do this anymore, Sierra. I'm so tired, but it's too late to stop it." "It's never too late." "You don't understand. He has videos of me saying terrible things about Mom, about you. He recorded me when I was upset, when I wasn't thinking clearly. If I leave him, he'll destroy our whole family." "What kind of things?" "Things I said when I was angry. About how Mum always favoured you, how I felt invisible growing up, about your divorce, how I thought you were weak for staying with Jake so long." She looked at me with devastated eyes. "He'll send them to everyone we know." My heart broke for her, but also for myself. Even manipulated and terrified, those words had come from somewhere real. "Tessa, even if he does that, it's just words. Words can't hurt you like he's hurting you. You don't know him like I do." "He doesn't just hurt me, he destroys things, people. He made Emma disappear." "Who's Emma?" Her face went white. I wasn't supposed to know about her, but I found old photos on his phone. A girl from Portland. When I asked about her, he said she was a mistake that got corrected. "Tessa, we need to call the police." "With what proof? He's never hit me where anyone can see. The money transfers look legitimate." "And he has those recordings of me." Before I could respond, we heard a key in the lock. Tessa's whole body went tense. "He's early," she whispered, frantically wiping her eyes. Sean walked in carrying flowers and wearing his perfect smile, but his eyes went straight to me, then to Tessa's tear-stained face. "Well, this looks cosy, sister bonding time." "Sierra brought pastries," Tessa said quickly. How thoughtful. He set the flowers on the counter and moved to stand behind Tessa, his hands on her shoulders. "But didn't we talk about having visitors over without checking first?" "I'm sorry, I forgot." "It's okay, babe. I'm not mad." But his fingers dug into her shoulders. "Sierra, always a pleasure, but Tessa and I have wedding errands to run." I stood up slowly. "Of course. Tessa, think about what we discussed." Sean's smile never wavered. "What did you discuss?" "Bridesmaid duties," I lied. "Right. Well, drive safe, Sierra. You know how dangerous these roads can be." As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. Text from Lucas. "Found something. Meet me tonight. Murphy's. 8 p.m. I looked back at Tessa's apartment. Through the window I could see Sean talking to her, his hands gesturing emphatically while she nodded like a broken doll. Not for much longer, I promised silently. One way or another I was going to save my sister. Even if it meant destroying everything else in the process. Lucas was waiting for me in the empty auto shop, a manila folder spread across the workbench. Under the fluorescent lights he looked grim. "You're not going to like this," he said without preamble. I approached the bench. The folder contained bank statements, business registration documents, and what looked like police reports. "Freeman Consulting is a shell company," Lucas said. "All the money flows through it, but there's no actual business. Sean's been using it to clean money from Uncle Richard's questionable real estate deals." "Questionable how?" buying properties with cash, flipping them fast, inflating values, classic money laundering. He pointed to a bank statement. Look at these deposits, 50,000 here, 80,000 there, all from different LLCs that trace back to Uncle Richard. I studied the numbers. This is the 80,000 from Tessa's account. Yeah, and it's not the first time he's done this. Emma's savings account was cleaned out too, right before she left Portland. My hands clenched into fists. What about the police reports? 3 different women in Portland filed complaints against Sean over the past 5 years, all dropped the charges after receiving settlement money. Lucas's voice was bitter. Uncle Richard's very good at making problems disappear. Can we use this? Maybe, but you need to be careful. These people don't mess around. I photographed every document, my hands shaking with adrenaline and rage. How did you get all this? I still have friends in Portland, people who remember Emma. He closed the folder. Sierra, if you're really going to do this, you need to be smart about it. Sean's not just abusive, he's connected. I don't care. I'm not letting him destroy my sister. Lucas studied my face. You remind me of myself 3 years ago, angry and righteous and completely outgunned. What would you do differently? Hit him where it hurts most, his reputation. These church people, they care about appearances, right? Make it impossible for them to ignore what he is. I drove home with my mind racing. Back in my apartment, I spread everything out on my dining table. Photos, bank statements, audio recordings, police reports. It looked like evidence for a federal case. But Lucas was right. I needed to be strategic. I opened my laptop and started typing. Not a police report or a legal document, but something more powerful in our small town. A detailed email with every piece of evidence attached. The recipient list took careful thought, Pastor Vince obviously. Teresa and the other church committee members organising the wedding, Sean's business contacts whose emails I'd found in his LinkedIn profile, local reporters, even the mayor who'd been photographed with Sean at a charity event last month. But the most important recipient would be Tessa herself. I crafted 2 separate messages. The first was clinical, factual, subject, urgent information regarding Sean Freeman. To whom it may concern, I am writing to share information about Sean Freeman that I believe is relevant to his standing in our community. Attached, you will find documented evidence of domestic violence, financial fraud, and a pattern of abuse spanning multiple relationships. The second message was for Tessa. My dearest sister, by the time you read this, everyone will know the truth about Sean. I know you're scared, and I know you think it's too late to change course, but it's never too late to save yourself. I've attached a USB drive to your bouquet with all the evidence. If you want out, just say the word. I'll be waiting in the parking lot with the car running. I love you more than you know. Sierra. I scheduled both emails to send at 11:55 a.m. on Saturday, 5 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start. Then I created backup copies and saved everything to multiple USB drives. My phone rang. Mum. Sierra, I need to know if you're coming to the rehearsal dinner tomorrow night. Am I still invited? Sean insisted you be included. He says family is important and he doesn't want hard feelings. That made my skin crawl. How generous of him. Don't be sarcastic. He's trying to make peace. And what does Tessa want? Long pause. Tessa wants everyone to get along. That's not what I asked. Sierra, please, just come tomorrow night and be civil, for your sister's sake. I agreed, but only because I wanted one more chance to see Tessa before everything exploded. The rehearsal dinner was held at the country club, all white tablecloths and fake smiles. I arrived fashionably late and found my assigned seat as far from the head table as possible. Sean gave a speech about family and love and new beginnings. Everyone applauded. Tessa sat beside him like a beautiful ghost, smiling on cue but saying nothing. During the cocktail hour, I cornered her by the dessert table. How are you holding up? I'm fine. Her voice was flat. Tomorrow's going to be perfect. Tessa, if you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go? She looked at me with confusion. What kind of question is that? Just answer it. I don't know. I used to want to see Ireland. The countryside. You still could? Sierra, I'm getting married tomorrow. I can't just run off to Ireland. Why not? Before she could answer, Sean appeared. Ladies, what are we discussing? Travel, I said. Tessa was telling me about her dream honeymoon destination. We're going to Cabo, Sean said, his arm sliding around Tessa's waist. I've already booked everything. But Tessa wants to see Ireland. Sean's smile tightened. Tessa loves the beach. Don't you, babe? She nodded automatically. I love the beach. See, we know what's best for us. Sean's grip on her waist tightened. Sierra, your mum mentioned you might have some concerns about tomorrow. Want to talk about it? No concerns, just excited for my sister's big day. Good, because it would be a shame if anything disrupted such a special occasion. The threat was clear. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, where I found Willow waiting by the sinks. What are you doing here? I whispered. Teresa invited me, said they needed extra help with setup. Willow looked around nervously. Did you see how thin Tessa looks? She's disappearing right in front of everyone. Not for much longer. Sierra, what are you planning? I pulled out my phone and showed her the scheduled email. Tomorrow at 5 minutes to noon, everyone's going to know exactly who Sean Freeman really is. Willow's eyes widened. Jesus! Are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. What if it backfires? What if he hurts her worse? Then at least she'll know she's not alone anymore. We heard footsteps in the hallway. Willow grabbed my arm. Sierra, be careful. Men like Sean don't go down quietly. I'm counting on it. The next morning I woke up with my heart pounding. In 3 hours I would either save my sister or destroy what was left of our family. Maybe both. I got dressed carefully, not wedding guest attire, but something I could run in if necessary. Then I drove to the church and sat in my car, watching the early arrivals bustle around with flowers and decorations. At 11:50 I refreshed my email. The messages were queued and ready. At 11:54 I saw Tessa's bridal party arrive. At 11:55 I hit send. Then I waited for the world to explode. For 30 seconds nothing happened. The church parking lot remained peaceful, wedding guests still streaming in wearing their Sunday best. I started to panic. What if the emails hadn't gone through? What if I'd messed up the scheduling? Then Pastor Vince's phone buzzed. I watched through the church windows as he pulled it out, glanced at the screen and went completely still. His face drained of colour. Teresa was arranging flowers near the altar when her phone chimed. She looked down, gasped, and dropped an entire bouquet. White roses scattered across the floor. One by one, phones started buzzing throughout the church. The sound was like a swarm of angry bees. I watched people's faces change as they read. Confusion, shock, horror. Some immediately started whispering to their neighbours. Others just stared at their screens in disbelief. I got out of my car and walked toward the church, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the side door, I could see chaos beginning to unfold. Pastor Vince was frantically trying to reach someone on his phone, while Teresa gathered the other committee ladies in a tight huddle. Sierra! I turned to see Mum rushing across the parking lot, her face twisted with rage. What have you done? What needed to be done? You've ruined everything. Your sister's wedding day. Destroyed. She was practically screaming. How could you be so vindictive? Mom, did you read the email? Did you look at the photos? I don't care what lies you fabricated. Sean is a good man, and I'm just what? Jealous? Bitter? When are you going to stop making excuses and look at what's right in front of you? Before Mum could answer, we heard shouting from inside the church. Through the windows I could see Sean in his tuxedo, gesticulating wildly at Pastor Vince. Even from a distance, his fury was palpable. "Where is she?" Mum demanded. "Where's Tessa?" I didn't answer. I was already moving toward the bridal suite in the church basement, where Tessa would be getting ready. Mum followed, her heels clicking angrily on the pavement. The basement was eerily quiet compared to the chaos upstairs. I found the bridal suite and knocked softly. "Tessa, it's Sierra." No answer. I tried the handle. Locked. "Tessa, please open the door." "Go away." Her voice was muffled like she was crying. "Honey, I need to talk to you." I can't do this." Mum pushed past me and pounded on the door. "Tessa, open this door right now. We need to fix this mess your sister created." "There's nothing to fix," I said. "It's over, Mum. Everyone knows the truth now." "The truth?" Mum whirled on me. "The truth is, you've destroyed your sister's happiness because you can't stand to see her succeed where you failed." The door opened. Tessa stood there in her wedding dress, makeup streaked down her face, holding my USB drive. "Is it real?" she whispered. "All of it?" I nodded. "Every piece." She looked at Mum, then back at me. "The police reports from Portland, the other women. Emma." "You knew about Emma?" "I found photos. When I asked Sean about her, he said she was crazy, that she made up stories to get money from his family." Tessa's voice broke. "But she looked just like me. Same hair, same build, same scared expression in every picture." Mum stepped forward. "Tessa, whatever Sierra showed you, we can work through this. Sean loves you. People make mistakes." "Mistakes?" Tessa's voice rose. "Mum, he broke my ribs. He emptied my bank account. He records me when I'm upset so he can use it against me later." "That's not—" "It is." Tessa pulled up her sleeve, revealing fresh bruises on her forearm. "This is from yesterday when I asked if we could postpone the honeymoon. He said I was being ungrateful." Mum stared at the bruises, her face cycling through emotions, denial, shock, something that might have been recognition. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mum's voice was barely a whisper. "I tried. Remember when I came to you crying 3 months ago? You said I was being dramatic, that all couples have adjustments." You thought what was easier to believe? That your daughter was being dramatic instead of being beaten?" Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Sean appeared, still in his tuxedo but dishevelled now, his perfect hair mussed. Behind him was a man I didn't recognise. Older, expensive suit, the kind of face that belonged in boardrooms and country clubs. "Uncle Richard," Tessa whispered. So this was the money behind Sean's operation. He looked at the scene, Tessa in her wedding dress, me with my phone out, Mum wringing her hands, and his expression was coldly calculating. "We have a problem," he said simply. "It's handled," Sean said, but his voice was tight. "Just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding that's been sent to half the town?" Uncle Richard pulled out his phone. "I've got 17 missed calls from business associates. The mayor wants to meet with me Monday morning." Sean's mask was finally slipping. "It's all lies. Sierra's just bitter about her divorce." "Are the bank records lies?" I interrupted. "The police reports? The photos of what you did to my sister?" Uncle Richard studied me with the kind of attention that made my skin crawl. "You're the sister." "I'm the sister who's not afraid of you." He almost smiled. "Everyone should be afraid of something, Miss Bond." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact." Tessa stepped between us, and for the first time in months she looked like my sister again, spine straight, chin up. "Get out," she said quietly. Sean blinked. "Babe, you don't mean—" "Get out of this church. Get out of my life. Get out before I call the police myself." "Tessa, you're upset." "You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking clearly for the first time in months." She pulled off her engagement ring and threw it at his feet. "We're done." Sean's composure cracked completely. "You ungrateful bitch. After everything I've done for you, everything I've given you." You've given me nothing but bruises and nightmares. He took a step toward her, his hand raised, and I moved without thinking. But someone else was faster. Lucas appeared in the doorway like a shadow, his presence filling the small space. He didn't say anything, just looked at his brother with flat, dangerous eyes. Sean's hand dropped. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" "Making sure you don't do anything else stupid." Uncle Richard straightened his tie. "Sean, we're leaving. Now." "But now." As they walked away, Sean turned back one last time. "This isn't over, Tessa." "You'll regret this." "The only thing I regret," Tessa called after him, "is not listening to my sister sooner." The basement fell silent except for the distant sound of chaos upstairs, guests leaving, cars starting, a wedding that would never happen. Tessa sank onto a chair, still in her wedding dress, and started to laugh. It was a broken sound, but it was real. "I'm free," she whispered. "I'm actually free." The laughter died as quickly as it had started. Tessa looked down at her wedding dress, thousands of dollars of silk and lace that would never see an altar. "What do I do now?" she whispered. "Now you get out of that dress and we get you somewhere safe," I said. Mum had been silent through the entire confrontation, but now she stepped forward. "Tessa, honey, maybe we should think about this. Sean was angry, but people say things they don't mean when they're upset." "Mum, stop!" Tessa's voice was firm. "Just stop. I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend everything's fine when it's not." "But the wedding—" "There is no wedding." Tessa stood up, the dress rustling around her. "There never should have been a wedding." Lucas cleared his throat. "Ladies, I don't want to interrupt, but we should probably get moving. Sean's unpredictable when he's cornered, and Uncle Richard doesn't like loose ends." "What does that mean?" Mum asked. "It means they're going to try to control the narrative. Discredit Sierra, maybe claim Tessa had a breakdown." Lucas looked at me. "You need to be prepared for them to come after you. Let them try." "Sierra." Tessa grabbed my arm. "I need to get my things from the apartment. My documents, my photos, everything. We'll go together." "I'm coming too," Mum said quietly. We both stared at her. "Mum, I said I'm coming." Her voice was stronger now. "I failed you once, Tessa. I'm not doing it again." 20 minutes later, Tessa had changed into jeans and a sweater. We caravanned to her apartment, me and Tessa in my car, Mum and Lucas following in his truck. The parking lot was empty except for Sean's BMW. "He's here," Tessa whispered, going pale. "Stay in the car," I said. "No, it's my apartment, my stuff." Lucas appeared at my window. "I'll go first, make sure it's safe." We followed him up the stairs. The apartment door was wide open, and we could hear Sean inside, talking rapidly on the phone. "Doesn't matter what she says, it's her word against mine, and everyone knows she's unstable." He looked up as we entered. His face was flushed, his tie loose, his perfect composure completely gone. "Tessa, thank God. I was worried you'd done something stupid." He ended his call and moved toward her. "Baby, we can fix this. Whatever Sierra told you—" "Don't." Tessa held up her hand. "Don't call me baby. Don't come near me. I'm just here for my things." "Your things? Tessa, this is our home, our life." "This was never my home. It was your prison." Sean's expression darkened. "You're being dramatic, just like your sister said you would be." "When did I say that?" I demanded. He pulled out his phone and played an audio recording. My voice filled the room. "Tessa's always been dramatic. She makes mountains out of molehills." I stared at him. "When did you record that?" "Last Christmas. You were talking to your mother about Tessa's anxiety." His smile was vicious. "I record everything, Sierra, every conversation, every family dinner. You'd be amazed what people say when they think no one's listening." "You're sick," Mum whispered. "I'm thorough." Sean pocketed his phone. "Tessa, if you walk out that door, everyone's going to hear how your own family really feels about you. How Sierra thinks you're weak and dramatic. How your mother wishes you were more like your successful sister. Tessa flinched, but she kept moving toward the bedroom. I don't care anymore. You will when you're alone and broke and everyone knows what a mess you really are. She won't be alone, I said. Right, you'll take care of her, just like you took care of your own marriage. Sean's laugh was ugly. How long before you get tired of playing saviour and abandon her too? I felt the words hit their target, but before I could respond, Tessa emerged from the bedroom with a suitcase. I'm done, she announced. Sean blocked the doorway. You're not leaving? Yes, I am. I won't let you ruin everything we've built. You built nothing. You stole everything. Tessa's voice was steady now. You stole my money, my friends, my confidence. But you can't steal my choice to leave. Sean grabbed her arm. You're not going anywhere. Lucas moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second Sean was holding Tessa's arm. The next, he was against the wall with Lucas's forearm across his throat. Let go of her, Lucas said quietly. Get off me. Let go of her. Sean released Tessa's arm. Lucas stepped back but stayed between Sean and the door. We're leaving now, I said. Don't follow us. This isn't over, Sean called after us. You think you've won something, but you've just destroyed your own family. No one's going to forgive you for this, Sierra. Not your mother, not your sister, not anyone. We made it to the parking lot before Tessa broke down. She collapsed against my car, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. He's right, she gasped. I've ruined everything. The wedding, the family, all that money. You didn't ruin anything, I said firmly. You saved yourself. But what if... No what-ifs. You're free, Tessa. For the first time in months, you're free. Mum appeared beside us, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. You saw what you wanted to see, Tessa said, but her voice wasn't angry, just tired. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making up for it. Lucas joined us, looking grim. We should go. Sean's making more calls, and I don't like the sound of it. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of Sean in my rearview mirror. He was standing in the parking lot, phone pressed to his ear, watching us leave. Even from a distance, I could see the rage radiating from him. Where do we go now? Tessa asked. Willow's, I said. She's expecting us. Willow? But we haven't talked in... She never stopped caring about you, Tess. She was just waiting for you to come home. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You have no idea what you've started. This is just the beginning. I deleted it without showing the others. Sean could threaten me all he wanted. I'd already won the only battle that mattered. My sister was free. Willow's apartment felt like a sanctuary after the chaos of the church. She'd cleared out her guest room and stocked the fridge with Tessa's favourite foods. When we arrived, she just hugged my sister without saying a word. I'm sorry, Tessa whispered into Willow's shoulder. I'm so sorry for everything. You're here now. That's all that matters. The next few days blurred together. Sean's threats escalated. Voicemails, texts, emails filled with rage and promises of revenge. But something unexpected was happening in town. Instead of rallying around Sean, people were distancing themselves. Teresa called me on Tuesday morning. Sierra, I owe you an apology. I've been asking around about Sean and... Well, let's just say your email wasn't the first red flag people had noticed. What do you mean? Remember Janet from the flower shop? She said Sean screamed at her last month when the roses weren't the exact shade he wanted, made her cry in front of customers, and Mike at the catering company said Sean tried to stiff him on the deposit, claimed the contract was invalid. The dominoes were falling faster than I'd expected. By Wednesday, 3 of Sean's business clients had terminated their contracts. The local newspaper ran a story about financial irregularities at Freeman Consulting. Pastor Vince announced that the church would be reviewing its association with Sean. But the real blow came Thursday morning. Lucas called me, his voice tight with satisfaction. Emma's coming forward. Emma from Portland. She saw the news story online, reached out to me through mutual friends. She's driving down this weekend to file a police report. After all this time? She said seeing Tessa's photos gave her courage, said she couldn't let him do to another woman what he did to her. I found Tessa in Willow's kitchen, making coffee with shaking hands. She'd been having nightmares, waking up in cold sweats, but she was eating again. The hollow look was slowly leaving her eyes. "Emma's coming," I told her. Tessa set down her mug. "The girl from Portland? She wants to file charges. With both of your testimonies, the police will have to take this seriously. What if Uncle Richard makes it go away again? He can't make everything disappear, not when it's this public." Mum appeared in the doorway, looking older than I'd ever seen her. She'd been staying at Willow's too, sleeping on the couch, trying to make amends in small ways, cooking meals, doing laundry, just being present. "There's something I need to tell you both," she said quietly. We waited. "I got a call from Sean yesterday. He offered me money to convince Tessa to come back. Said he'd pay for family counselling, anger management, whatever it took." "What did you tell him?" Tessa asked. "I told him that my daughter's safety isn't for sale." Mum's voice cracked. "I should have said that months ago. I should have protected you instead of protecting appearances." "Mum, no, let me finish." "I failed you, Tessa. I chose what looked good over what was right. I let my own fears about being alone make me push you toward a man who was destroying you." Tessa reached for Mum's hand. "We all made mistakes." "Not all of us. Sierra didn't make mistakes. She fought for you when I wouldn't." The three of us sat in Willow's kitchen, drinking coffee and finally talking honestly. About Dad's death when we were kids, about how Mum had struggled to raise us alone, about how we'd all learned to avoid difficult conversations to keep the peace. "I don't want to avoid things anymore," Tessa said. "I want to press charges. I want to testify. I want to make sure he can't do this to anyone else." "It won't be easy," I warned. "Uncle Richard will try to discredit you. Sean will fight back." "Let him." "I'm not the same person who was afraid to speak up." Emma arrived Saturday morning, a small woman with kind eyes and visible scars on her hands. She and Tessa sat together on Willow's couch, comparing stories, finding strength in shared experience. "He told me I was crazy too," Emma said, "that no one would believe me because I had a history of depression." "He recorded me saying terrible things about my family when I was upset," Tessa replied. "Said he'd release them if I ever left. Did you know he's been doing this for years? There are at least 3 other women." By Sunday, they'd decided to coordinate their police reports. Lucas offered to testify about Sean's history. Even some of Sean's former business associates agreed to speak about his financial practices. The final blow came Monday morning. I was at my apartment, finally sleeping in my own bed, when Willow called. "Turn on the news." I fumbled for the remote. The local morning show was running a story about a federal investigation into money laundering schemes involving several Portland area businesses. Uncle Richard's photo flashed on screen. Holy shit! It gets better. Sean's been arrested. I sat down hard on my couch. For what? Wire fraud, money laundering, and assault charges from Emma's complaint. Apparently the feds have been watching Uncle Richard for months. Your email just gave them the final pieces they needed. That afternoon, I drove to Willow's to find Tessa sitting on the front porch, reading a book in the sunshine. She looked up when I approached, and for the first time in months, her smile reached her eyes. "How are you feeling, Fern?" I asked. "Scared, relieved, angry, free." She closed the book. "Mostly free." "Any regrets?" "About leaving Sean? Never. About the timing, the way it happened? Maybe. But not about the choice itself." We sat together in comfortable silence. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. For a second, my heart rate spiked, thinking it might be Sean, but it wasn't. It was a photo of Tessa, taken just now on the porch. She was smiling, her face turned toward the sun, no makeup covering bruises, no long sleeves hiding marks. She looked like herself again. The caption read, "Free now." I looked up to see Willow in the window, grinning and holding her phone. "She sent this to me too," Tessa said, showing me her screen. "Said she wanted to document the moment I came back to life. Is that what this feels like?" "Yeah." Tessa stretched her arms above her head, wincing slightly. Her ribs were still healing. "It feels like waking up from a nightmare and realizing the sun's still shining." My phone rang. "Mom, girls, turn on channel 7 now." We crowded around Willow's TV to see a breaking news report. Sean's mugshot filled the screen while a reporter detailed the charges against him. The anchor mentioned that he was being held without bail due to flight risk. "It's really over," Tessa whispered. "The legal stuff is just beginning," I reminded her. "I know, but the fear is over. The walking on eggshells, the wondering when the next explosion would come, the feeling like I was disappearing a little more each day." She looked at me. "That's over. Good. Sierra?" "Yeah." "Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself." I hugged my sister, feeling her solid and real and alive in my arms. That's what sisters do. "Even sisters who think I'm dramatic," I laughed. "Especially sisters who think you're dramatic. Someone has to keep you grounded." Outside, a car pulled up. Emma got out, followed by a woman I didn't recognize. Another survivor, maybe, or a victim's advocate. They were building something here, a network of people who refused to stay silent. "Ready?" Tessa asked, standing up. "For what?" "To tell the truth, all of it, as many times as it takes." I watched my sister walk toward the car, her spine straight, her voice steady. She wasn't the broken woman in the wedding dress anymore. She was someone new, someone who'd survived and chosen to fight back. The truth had set her free, and sometimes that's the only revenge that matters.